You know, like I think the idea that like it's just going to be some ground that like boom, you make this much, you're gonna no, because
No.
the
It's
wealthiest
progressive
people-
tax code.
Yeah, the wealthiest people have assets that are worth more than your salary.
Yep.
So on paper they may make $900,000, but in reality they're worth $3.5 million,
Yep.
and it doesn't make sense.
And that's where I really like Bernie's wealth tax, because it only applies on people who own, I think it's 25 or 35 million. I think it might be 35 million.
Yeah,
And it's 1% on any dollar after the 35 million. And I could be wrong. Maybe it's 25 million, but don't quote me on that specific thing. But the way that it works is it goes up. So let's say it's 35 million is the 1%. And it's only dollars after that 35 million. It then is, let's say 50 million is the next one. That's then 2%. 2% on every dollar over the 50, but the 1% over every dollar over the 35. And so the way that it works is like you're still getting your 35 million, or you're still, you still have your wealth, but over time it shrinks people with absurd amounts of wealth. It shrinks their wealth down. But they're still millionaires. These people aren't hurting.
Oh, absolutely.
Like they're still making a shit ton of money. And not to mention, in this system, when you have a lot of money, it's very easy to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're disadvantaging them at all. And that little bit you're taking off of them in a very fair assessment, and it's a very small percentage, is huge to what it allows to go back into the system to circulate and change hands.
Absolutely.
If poor people don't have enough money to buy shit, then they can't buy shit. But if you give poor people more money, they spend all of it because they don't have a choice.
Yes.
Their bills go towards everything all the time. But rich people's bills, they sit in a bank account for years. That same dollar you put in there, that doesn't get seen for potentially a decade because of how much money they make and how little it's circulating. You can only buy so many jets and cars and
I mean, well, also they're avoiding paying their bills.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Like, it's just like, okay, why would you make that much money and then avoid paying?
It's because it's about the ego of running up the score. I want to be one of the richest people in the country.
It's so dumb.
It's such an ego-driven trap.
It's so dumb. It's the dumbest dumb idea of all time.
It is.
Like think of it like this. If you were to take $1 million off someone that made $36 million, they're back down to 35, right? Mm-hmm. That $1 million could pay for lunches for like 6 counties for kids. Kids deserve to eat.
Yep.
I don't care where the kid's from. If that tax code allows someone to say, well, why do the poor kids only get the free meals? Well, no, everyone can get a free meal. You know why? Because kids should be focusing on learning, not eating.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so simple. It's so simple. You can't have an economy without healthy people contributing to it.
Have you seen the school lunch debts?
Oh, dude, it's fucking...
That is fucked. That is so fucked.
It is so fucked. It is. I used to bitch about paying for school lunch. Mm-hmm. Like I paid $6.50 for school lunch in Holland, and we got like a pizza, breadstick, and a milk or whatever. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I didn't have $6.50. Sometimes my mom was like, "Yeah, we're fucking broke. Like, make something work," and we would. But I think there's some kids who are paying $15 to get half that in certain schools, and then they rack up $30. Next thing you know, they have the tax man coming for them, and they're under the age of 18. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's literally evil and inhumane. The fact that they even do that. That system is again designed to perpetuate this indentured servitude through debt. I mean, that's what the school system is too. The school system for like higher education is designed to get you stuck with the man, stuck with the banks, in a way that then you're working a very low wage job when you first get out of college, depending on your degree. But even if you get a good degree, you're severely underpaid for what you're doing.
Oh, for sure.
And your bills are significantly higher than anyone else's bills were if they were in the same place, if they were a boomer. Like, they didn't have to make as much money. Things didn't cost as much, and their dollars went further. Yeah. So it's like, there's such a huge disconnect generationally, where we are saddled with a lot of debt. Everything costs more. We're paid less money. Wages have not grown at all in 40 years, despite productivity going through the roof. I mean, this is a rigged system. It just is. And it's not a conspiracy to say it. It just is. And everybody feels it. They're so in it. They don't realize it.
Well, it's just like are you gonna enjoy your night out with your significant other, or are you gonna, go to bed in the fetal position worried about your bills? And everyone makes that choice every day who has student loan debt. Like so I went to Eastern Michigan in Michigan in Ypsilanti, and I was a BFA, and they're in that program. So most BFA programs make you do multidisciplines, like take a few hours of other disciplines, so you're versed, right? But to get to the graphic design, get to your discipline that you wanted, every department had a test or a portfolio review. I distinctly remember my portfolio being, not great, but being good for undergrad. I had real designers that review it. The people that I interned for reviewed it, gave me real feedback about my design skills and abilities. And I had to go through 3 rounds of reviews before they let me in. Meanwhile, there was a girl who literally stapled hers and brought it in, but they realized that I was as good as she was going to get. And so she gets in the program. Now, do I believe in a grave curve? Sure.
Yeah.
But literally, and we graduated together, and I saw her final portfolio. It was offensive how underprepared she was for her career. So they saddled her with all of this debt. No one gave her a realistic expectation of what her skill set was, or helped grow her skill set enough where it can overcome that gap. And instead, she's going to walk out with $50,000 to $60,000 worth of debt, and have maybe a pinhole's chance of getting a job that could pay for that.
Yeah.
I think last time I looked, she's working at a Goodrich movie theater, still trying to find a design job on LinkedIn. And it's that's there was probably 8 or 9 people in my program like that were just nice people, but maybe graphic design wasn't their
thing.
The table, sorry.
Yeah.
Wasn't their forte. And the school, because they need to have a certain amount of people in their graduating class, they got to fill, graphic design skill set 1, 2, 3. They pass these people along. And granted, my relationship with some of my professors and even my advisors in that department at times were contentious, because I recognized this, because I was getting a double standard. I'm thankful that they saw something in me enough that made them want me to do better.
And push you.
And push me. But also the other aspect is you gamed them and you fucked them.
Yeah.
So now you've conned them into this degree they can't use.
Well, and what's frustrating is I always hear critiques from the right of well, don't get a degree in philosophy, or and it's oh, so we don't want to encourage people to learn the things that they're interested in? That's stupid.
Yeah.
It's a stupid way of thinking. But I do think that what's important is that if somebody chooses a degree like that, then yes, then you need to then prepare them for what will it actually turn into as a job.
Yes.
I mean, yes, teach them the concepts. It's important to know the history of certain things and to know a lot of the larger aspects of whatever the topic is that you're studying. But then also there needs to be a huge integration of how are you really going to use this, though?
Absolutely.
When I went to school for video production. And part of the reason why I'm able to shoot the podcast the way that I did is because I actually did get hands-on work where I worked with lights and cameras. And my teachers for those classes were awesome. Shout out to all of my teachers that I had for those classes. But you know how many bullshit-ass fucking classes I had to take in addition to that just to get a degree to have the hours I needed to graduate? It was horseshit. I can't even believe I wasted that much money on those classes, because the 5 or 6 classes that I took that were all about video production and screenwriting and all that, those were all useful because I actually learned how to hands-on work with stuff and to have a practical element of how to shoot something. But beyond those 5 or 6 classes, everything else, fuck everything else.
Yeah, take chemistry 100.
Yeah, I mean, and I took financial accounting in college. And that class was so stressful, and I didn't need it for anything. And I ended up dropping that class because I did so bad. I was like, dude, I don't care about any of this, and this isn't going to help me at all. Dude, why am I taking this class?
So many classes, and you can sub those hours out with better things.
Oh yeah.
So my minor was in communications, and because I did speech and all that jazz, everyone pretty much did it. And I'll never forget the most useful extra hour class I took was a 700 level grad class just for 3 credits with this phenomenal professor, Michael Tu. Shout out Michael Tu, great professor at Eastern Michigan University. And it was called Communicating with the LGBT Community Through Media. And it was just about the history of like queer, like cinema, newspapers, articles, how they reported from the very iteration of media to modern times. And that class was rich with discussion of privilege, of things. That's the first time I heard the term gender non-binary was in that class, and that was 2012.
Before it's popular.
Before it was popping.
Yeah.
There was a woman in that class who was a Native American woman, and she was in a poly relationship, and it was something that was common in her tribe she was from. And she described raising her children in that community. And I was like, fuck, holy fucking shit. My mind was blown. And honestly, it was a slice of humility, humble pie, where I was like, I thought I was a pretty humble person. And I was aware of people's, experiences, but there's so much of this world I don't know.
Yeah.
That class is 100 billion times more useful than chemistry was. My chemistry lab and lecture was this old fucking Arnold Palmer looking motherfucker just telling jokes, telling science puns. And I love puns, but it was not worth 12 grand.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, for people trying to get into chemistry or in labs or doing something, yes, then take chemistry. Then that's important to you. And I think it's important to have general education, right? I think everybody should have some base level of knowledge of math, of history, of science. Teach everybody that. Then once people start figuring out what they really like and what they want to pursue, let them pursue that. And let them pursue the classes that they want to, and make it in a way that it's easier for them to do that. Because I think for certain electives or whatever, it was hard for me to find classes that I think I really wanted to learn. And there was a lot of classes I literally picked just to fill, like scheduling.
Did they give you the white paper sheet with like little check boxes on it for each section?
I don't even remember how they did it.
Dude.
Maybe a preview. They might have given you that, like where they give you a sheet of all the majors and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I hate getting that booklet in the mail.
Oh, dude, the booklet's unreadable.
Oh my God. Here's what we're offering this term. And you're just like going through like, fuck.
Yep.
I hated that. You want to know what the fucking most mind-boggling thing? Because you had Cody on the show, right?
I have not had Cody on the show. I've scheduled with Cody a couple times. We have had cancellations and stuff.
All right. So I hope you guys do, because Cody went to real art school. You know, he's gonna kill me for saying that. But Cody did the real experience. He's a real artist.
Imposter syndrome. This is the theme.
But I remember, so because it's a BFA program at a university that doesn't focus in art, your capstone class is like, the capstone class at Eastern was gallery show. So you put on a class gallery show. You pick a theme if you want, yada, yada, yada. Each discipline kind of picks, you're kind of ganged up by your discipline, and you pick what you're going to focus on. So the graphic designers got stuck with posters, postcards, collateral, website.
Sure.
And it was me, my friend Chelsea, and another girl in our class, Stephanie, I think someone else. I don't really remember. And then the photographers were photographing all the artwork and stuff, right? And those are two practices that have practical applications. Like, the reason I didn't major in drawing is because I knew drawing didn't have a practical application for me. I was told that at a very young age. And so we're in class, and this class was about 6 hours long. It was like lab and lecture kind of thing. Or maybe it was like 4. First part of class was spent talking about our show while planning. And the second part of the class was built in the artist packet, which turns out I didn't need as a graphic designer, because an artist packet is what you use to apply to gallery shows and stuff. Like, it's knowledge I'm glad I have now, because I'm applying to gallery shows. But that class, Amy, our teacher, Amy Saxeter, amazing artist, the greatest teacher in the art department at Eastern Michigan University. The jaw-dropping looks on some of the other disciplines' faces when she was explaining, like literally the first day, she's like, yeah, oftentimes as artists, you're going to find you're paying your bills by lab and lectures or just working another job. We're going to talk about how to get your artwork out there. And the people were like, what do you mean? I don't just like apply to a gallery and I show my stuff there all the time. No, you do residencies, you build galleries, for all intents and purposes, you're a fucking clown and you got to entertain people with your artwork.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're Mondrian or you're fucking Damien Hirst. All artists are entertainers. We're clowns, and we have to like make stuff that people want to engage with. And the look on the face of the other disciplines was defeating. And I was like, you know what should have happened early on in their education? Someone should have talked to them about like art is a hustle.
Yeah. What's the reality of it?
You don't go to LinkedIn and apply to a job as a printmaker. Like, you print make for a studio maybe, but if you want to sell your work, if you want to make your work worth something, there's a form and format. And there was a lot of people that just like the air out of their room sucked out. They're freaking out.
Because they're like, fuck, I don't want to do that.
Spent all this money on this degree. My forbearance period is 6 months. Got to start paying the shit off, but also I got to make artwork. All my artwork in my undergrad, is this quality enough to submit to a gallery? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Well, I've been buying these, you pay your fee for art students, you pay like your supplies fee. Well, I can't take that iMac home with me. Fuck, I got to use my old ass MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to buy paint. Well, the school's been providing canvases for me, or the school's been providing, turpentine for me. Shit, it racks up. So now I got to work extra hard to feed myself and to feed my art like a child.
Yeah.
And people panic, and I felt from my classmates. I was like, that sucks. That's a shitty feeling.
Yeah, they should have prepared you.
Exactly.
Because you're a kid. You're a kid before you go into college.
Absolutely.
High school does not it somewhat preps you on like what you need to learn in college, but nothing preps you better for college than being in college.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? But by then it's too fucking late. You're already in it. So you have a much harder time pivoting beyond the first 2 years. The first 2 years is your first time to pivot. And when you do pivot, it's costing you money.
Oh, yeah. And you don't realize it because there's this, there's these, what is it when you bowl and they have like the safety lanes, like the,
mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's
the bumpers.
What the first few years of college is. You don't realize I'm independent. I remember, the first time you're on campus, you leave your dorm room, going out, getting some beers, hanging out. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's midnight. Oh, fuck. I'm going to stay out. I'm going to do my fucking thing.
Yeah. You're free.
And you don't know. But you know what? Your junior year, all of a sudden, sleep deprivation hits you.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you need more rest. All of a sudden, beer is really expensive. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, you've got a job you've been working for 2 years on campus and they want you to be full-time when you graduate, but you don't know if you want to be stuck in that career path, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And college is a microcosm for the bigger world. And no one tells you that until you're dropping out.
Yep. Exactly.
Whether it's with the degree or not, until you're like the bottom's out, congratulations, hat in the air. Figure it out.
Good luck.
Good luck. Hope your dad has a nice business for you to work at.
Yeah. Literally.
Like, I got lucky. My mom hooked me up with an internship at her company when I was a sophomore. And in the summers, I got paid weekly. I worked 40 hours a week. It was Monday through Friday. And I could go out and fuck off with my friends.
Yeah.
And it was perfect. And I remember when I graduated, I went back to work there and I was like, this is weird. I'm not doing this just for the summer.
Yeah.
I'm doing this for the summer into the fall.
Yeah.
And I could fuck off with my friends, but not all my friends were in the same area. And it was daunting. It was just kind of like,
reality sets in.
Yeah, I'm paying rent,
Yeah.
Cool. This weekly paycheck's awesome. How do I manage this weekly paycheck?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been working this graphic design job. It's really cool. I like graphic design. This is unfulfilling graphic design. Well, how do I do my other art? I don't have any of my supplies. I don't have any supplies. I have nothing.
And then you have to build up.
You have to build up.